What is up, everybody? So today's video, more stuff has arrived. We still have stuff on the way, but we acquired quite a few stuff that's going to help us with this S2000, the Bruised Banana S2000 project. So let me flip this camera around and show you guys what we got. There's a lot of stuff. So we will open these packages that just arrived in just a few moments, but if you guys haven't seen the last video, definitely check it out. I'll link it above here. We now have an air compressor, we have a hose, along with some other stuff that's going to help us with the whole thing. I'm pointing at this because we do have something that's going to help with this. We got a whole boatload of stuff here. I swear that we should be sponsored by Harbor Freight. We have a welder, just a cheap welder. It's really nothing fancy. If there's any welding pros watching this, I know this is a really cheap one, but we only have to do some small tack welds and then we can move on from welding. I've used better welders than that, but I mean, it doesn't have any argon or any gas or anything like that. It's just a MIG. So it's gonna be a little bit sloppy, I know that, but we really just have to tack this and continue on. So I keep saying that, but we at least now have the stuff that we can do it. We're gonna tackle it this weekend. All of this stuff here. So I went on a Harbor Freight shopping spree. Once we ended up getting the compressor, we got a hose, and we are going to paint this thing. I was gonna say start painting it, but we're not gonna paint it just yet, but we are going to eventually paint this thing. But with that compressor, it's a beast of a compressor. It's 6 horsepower, 30 gallons, so it's plenty for painting. We went ahead and got all the stuff that we're gonna need to paint. I think I'm still missing a couple things, but we got a hose. So I got this short hose, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna lead from the compressor into this. So I got this. It's both a dryer and oil remover filter. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 combo. It dries the air and it also filters the air. So it's got these kind of pellets that you put in the bottom that I suppose removes the moisture, and it says that they turn from blue to pink or something when they need to be replaced. So kind of cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hook this hose up, hook it into that, and then our hose going to the gun is gonna look like, come out the other side. I'm not sure which one's in and out, but that's how that's gonna work. We got this thing here, which is recommended. I've kind of done my due diligence on painting stuff and kind of went through some of the stuff. I'm not an expert by any means on painting, but I got a bunch of stuff that should help us with the process. We have this. So this is just a stand, and the gun fits in there, and then you put the filter that you guys can see at the top. You put the filter in there and you pour your paint into it so that it can be filtered before it goes in the gun, and this just helps with the whole filling process, but helps to eliminate any contamination. And then we of course have the filters that go on that stand that I just showed you. We have gloves, because you guys always see me wearing these blue gloves because I'm running a camera and trying to work at the same time. Then we have the gun. So we went ahead and got one of these HVLP gravity feed guns. And I got the one that has a regulator on the bottom so we can make sure that we have the right pressure. And I also, just for extra precaution, even though we have the filters here that are gonna clean the air before it goes to the end of the hose, we have these, or I got one of these disposable ones. So this is one that you put right before the gun. So it's gonna attach on the bottom of the gun there. And these are just like $2 or $3. You kind of just toss them out, but it's just extra insurance to make sure that you got perfect air coming out of these things. I think that's most of it. Oh, these things. So you can use just like the container that they give you here, but these are disposable ones. So you don't have to sit there and be super cleanly with everything. And these ones, obviously, like the name implies, they're disposable. You just put it on, fill it up with paint, cap it, use it, and then toss it when you're done. So that's gonna be a little bit nicer. And I just got some miscellaneous fittings. I needed a blowgun, and it's got a couple random things in here. I was gonna buy just the fittings that I needed because I got the hose, but I don't have any of the attachments for the gun and all the different tools that we may purchase. But this kind of was just an everything in one kit, so I figured I might as well. Plus we needed one of these nozzles. So we got the combo kit. Oh, this thing here is gonna help us with some of the dents and dings. Most of them, you guys saw we already got them out, but the hood still needs some work. So these are kind of auto body related hammers. And if you guys haven't seen these before, they're pretty trick. So a lot of them, and we'll get into this in another video, but I don't know everything about auto body, but I do know some. So these are dollies. You put them behind and essentially you hold it with one hand and you kind of tap the metal and work the metal in between. And there's different dollies and different hammers for different purposes. So you'll see like this one, for example, if you can look at it there, it's flat. So if camera decides to focus, it's flat, right? But then this one over here should be curved. There's ones that are curved and ones that are flat. And what that does is one of them expands the metal, one of them contracts. They also have some different kind of anvils on the end. Pretty cool stuff. We're gonna be using that to fix this. So this, as you can see, we're gonna have to work the metal, put the dolly on one side. What is going on with the camera today? Put the dolly on one side and tap on the other side with the hammer so that we can work that metal, and then we can apply some filler and get the hood ready as well. Also, you guys are gonna see a buffer. So I borrowed a buffer, and what we're gonna use the buffer for, eventually we'll buff the car, but I do wanna buff out these headlights. They have this haze here from sitting outside. This is just normal. I've buffed a million headlights before. So we're gonna buff these out just so they're ready to go and they're looking good. One less thing to worry about. Only unfortunate part is there is this kind of, again, this is a track car, but there is this kind of ding in the headlight. And I don't think that was there prior. If you guys watched the video when this thing got dragged out off the lift, it looks like it was sitting on its side, or they had it kind of sitting a little bit weird. And I think that bounced off the lift or something when they were pulling the thing out. But enough of me talking. We got a bunch of stuff, so let's get to work. And we can't forget about this stuff. You guys saw the clutch, the ACT clutch on the last video. If you guys haven't seen that video, check it out. Let me open up the stuff that we have in here and show you what this stuff is about. Okay, so we got some stuff here. I'm not sure which one this is. Oh, okay. So these are the bolts that actually hold the drive shaft. The ones that come stock on an S2000 are ridiculous. They strip really easy, and I barely got them out. So this is we're gonna put these in place, and these are gonna be for the drive shaft. So when we put the clutch in, we'll be using those. Let's see what this one is. Perfect. Okay, so these ones here are actually the bolts that are gonna go in place for they're gonna hold the fender flares on. So I got black, you guys can see this on the camera. They're already black powder coated. They're M5 bolts. So we got black powder coated M5 bolts all ready to go so that we can put the fender flares on. So that's pretty cool. Check out that business card. Thing is thick. Anyways, that's that. And I'll show you what this one is. This is pretty cool stuff also. So we've got these massive rolls of sandpaper. And what we're gonna use these for are, sanding, of course, but they're sticky back, so they actually have an adhesive on the back. And I got a couple of these, so these dura blocks. So these are so that you can actually run a panel, maybe not this panel because it's so curved, but the flatter ones, and you can actually run it across and get all the waves and stuff out. So these are pretty trick. They're just made out of foam, but they're called dura block. I got a smaller, shorter one that we're gonna use also. But we got 3 grits, so I got 80 grit so that we can work with the body filler. That's what we're gonna use that one for. We have, well, not this one just yet, but we have 220. So that's gonna get us a little bit more prepped. And then we have 400, I believe. Yeah, so 400. So 400 is gonna be right before we actually paint. And the 220 is gonna be before primer. So 400 is gonna be before the base coat. So we got those 3 stages there, and we're gonna get the whole thing blocked and sanded eventually, but we're not there yet. But we at least got the stuff to do it. I'm not sure how far we're gonna get this weekend, but hopefully we'll tackle this stuff. So it's actually the next day. I didn't get a chance to work on much last night, but luckily some more stuff showed up, and it's pretty important stuff and stuff that's gonna help out. So let me show you what we got. So these 2 things arrived. I don't know if you guys can guess what it is, but if I can open it one hand, we will show you. So it's a pretty small envelope here. I don't know why they wrapped it so well, because it is just another dura block. So it's this kind of flexible block. So now we have 2 blocks that we can block the car out with and make sure that we get it super smooth before we end up painting and doing all that stuff. And as for this one should be pretty exciting also. Grab a knife. I gotta be careful which way we open this thing, because I don't want to damage what's inside. Let me set this down here. So if you guessed the center console, you did guess right. And we got this one used for about 40 bucks. I took advantage of an eBay coupon, so it was actually $3 off. So it's $37 shipped. So can't complain. These things go for quite a bit of money sometimes. And we pretty much have it all ready to go. I'm gonna wash it because it's disgusting. Came out of a wrecked car and it's just pure nastiness. The other thing too is, if you guys are familiar with S2000s, this like chrome ring here is notorious for peeling up and stuff like that. So for now, at least we have something we can put the roof up and down with. But at least we can put the roof up and down, and then later we'll worry about maybe cleaning this up and doing something a little more fun with it and be wrapping it. But even the leather is actually in decent shape too, so should be all right. But we're gonna wash some stuff. And speaking of washing stuff, I have the transmission outside here. I'm gonna pressure wash it off just so that we can put the car back together. Since we have it off, we might as well get rid of all the cake that's on there. So let's go ahead and pressure wash that. Here's the final result of cleaning the transmission. Check it out, you guys. Looks pretty much brand new. And not like, this isn't spotless here in the bell housing, but it's definitely a lot cleaner and ready to go in. So even though it doesn't really matter, it doesn't affect it, I just like to make things clean and make them the best they can. So we're working on it later. Even if we're underneath the car, it's gonna look spotless and super clean. So that's that. Also, the center console cleaned up. Like you guys saw, I think I was showing you, had a bunch of gunk in it. Now it's looking pretty fresh right now. I put some kind of Armor All type stuff on it just so it's soaking in and doesn't look like it's ever gotten any love. So that's gonna be a little bit better, but yeah, that's pretty much it. One last thing I want to do is strip all the components off this door so we can get rid of the metal since it's taking up space. So we'll strip everything off that just in case there's any seal or something that we need, or a little bit of hardware, and then we'll discard the door. So let's get it apart. Here's the remnants of the door. We absolutely annihilated it. Took out the handle, and actually it's probably gonna be nicer to have this yellow handle, even though it's scratched up and needs a bit of repairing. It's gonna be better to have this yellow plastic. Actually, maybe it's not yellow plastic, I spoke too soon, but at least that it's majority yellow and we can paint it. So, because this is a high wear item and having that factory yellow paint is probably not a bad idea. But not only that, but I also realized that we are gonna need the lock mechanism here so that the key at least matches on both sides, because that other door, the black one, is gonna have some random keyhole in it too. So kind of good we took everything apart, but now it's just a shell, and this thing honestly weighs quite a bit for just this little skimpy door. If you're ever gonna do a weight reduction on S2000, I would say find some carbon fiber doors or something like that, because these things actually weigh quite a bit for such a little tiny car. But obviously there's some structural reinforcements in there, but definitely not a light door. So that stuff's all dismantled. We can throw this out. Not that you ever would wonder, but if you did wonder, it does fit in a garbage can. All right, you guys, it's gonna do it for today's video. Just a bit of housekeeping stuff, getting some of the stuff ready, getting rid of all the old junk, and getting ready to move forward. So right now I'm just about to tear into the transmission. I got the transmission here, and I guess not tear into it, but I'm gonna be installing it. I got the clutch on the back of the car that you can see. We got the transmission all cleaned up, ready to go. So I'm gonna get to work, put this car up, and on the next video, you guys will see me installing the clutch and the transmission, and hopefully she's running and driving by then. So stay tuned, you guys. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Also, double check that your notifications are turned on, that little bell icon next to subscribe. See you on the next video. Take care.